Welcome to Stoic Philosophy for Life. This is not just a place to listen to books, it's a space to feel them with your soul. Here, we illuminate your mind with timeless lessons. Awaken your inner strength, cultivate self-minded discipline, and guide your journey of personal growth. Every word is carefully chosen to reach what you're truly seeking: peace, clarity, and lasting transformation. If this feels like the place for you, hit subscribe and walk this path with us every single day. Now, put on your headphones, take a deep breath, and begin the journey of renewing your mind and your life. Have you ever wondered why, despite having more comfort than ever, you still feel like something is missing? You sleep in a warm bed, your meals are predictable, your days are mostly manageable. And yet, deep inside, there is a quiet discomfort, a whisper that says, you were made for more than this. That is not anxiety. That is your soul reminding you that comfort may feel good, but it rarely transforms you. Comfort soothes the surface, but it weakens the core. It is soft on the outside and silent in its theft of your strength. The Stoics knew this. They did not fear discomfort. They embraced it not for the pain itself, but for what it revealed. They believed discomfort was not punishment, but purpose. It was the furnace where character is forged, where clarity emerges, where weakness is burned away. Discomfort is not the enemy, it is the invitation. So if you feel stuck, uninspired, unsure of who you are becoming, it might be because comfort has lulled you into forgetting who you are meant to be. And this message, it is your wake-up call. By the time you reach the end, you will not just understand why growth demands discomfort. You will know exactly where to begin. You will walk away with clarity, with direction, and above all with a reminder you were not built to coast. You were built to climb. Because the truth is simple: comfort breeds stagnation. It arrives slowly. A skipped workout. A conversation avoided. A risk postponed. At first it feels like rest, like safety, like calm. But what it really is erosion. Of your hunger. Of your courage. Of your potential. You stop reaching. Not because you are fulfilled, but because you have become used to less. Less friction. Less uncertainty. Less effort. And slowly you forget what it feels like to be fully alive. The Stoics warned us of this trap. Seneca reminded us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Daring comes before growth. And growth comes before mastery. But none of it comes if comfort is always your first choice. Think of a blade never used. It rusts. A muscle never strained. It shrinks. A mind never challenged. It dulls. Life does not stand still, it pulls forward. If you are not evolving, you are eroding. And comfort is the lie that tells you everything is fine while your spirit slowly forgets how to rise. This is not about shame. It is about awakening. Because your potential is not gone, it is just asleep. It is waiting for you to stop choosing what is easy and start choosing what is meaningful. That difficult conversation you have been avoiding. That is your practice ground for courage. That fear you keep dodging. That is your next level, asking if you are ready. That discipline you keep postponing. That is the tool that will build the version of you that can finally break free. But comfort keeps whispering, not today, and you keep listening. The Stoics would say, make today the day you stop listening to that voice. Because every time you delay discomfort, you delay your becoming. And this does not mean chasing extreme hardship. The Stoics were not masochists. They believed in small, intentional friction. Cold showers. Simple meals. Honest self minus reflection. They practiced discomfort not to suffer but to stretch. They understood that peace does not come from avoiding pain, it comes from knowing you can face it and survive. That kind of peace cannot be given. It must be earned. So if your life feels too calm, too easy, too repetitive, check your comfort zones. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Where are you choosing ease over effort? Where are you coasting when you could be climbing? Where are you shrinking, not because life demands it, but because comfort convinced you to stay small? The Stoic would ask you to stop waiting for motivation. Start choosing discomfort on purpose. Wake up earlier. Speak truth when silence is safer. Do the hard thing not to punish yourself, but to prove to yourself you are still alive. Because a comfortable life is easy to manage, but a stretched life is impossible to ignore. Growth hides in challenge. In the pain you keep postponing. In the task you keep delaying. In the resistance you keep misreading as a reason to stop, when really, it is a signal to start. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way, not because challenge disappears, but because you rise above it." That is the Stoic mindset. That is the path of those who do not wait to feel ready. They move forward while afraid. They act while uncertain. Because they know clarity does not come before action, it comes through it. You will never feel fully ready. You will always have reasons to delay. But growth does not knock politely. It tests you. It asks, will you take the harder path today, even if no one sees it? The Stoic says yes. Not with words, but with action. Quiet, small, consistent. Wake up when you said you would. Say no when it is easier to say yes. Say yes when it stretches your limits. Face discomfort on purpose. Because every act of discipline is not just a habit, it is a message. It says, I refuse to be ruled by what is easy. I am here to evolve. So ask yourself now, what have you been avoiding? What part of you has gone soft not from weakness, but from comfort? And what is one thing, just one, you can do today to step back into friction? Because that step, however small, starts to shift everything. Your confidence grows. Your vision sharpens. Your peace deepens, not because the world changed, but because you did. You stopped seeking comfort. You started becoming. Comfort is not the reward. Mastery is. You were not put here to find the easiest path. You were not born to retire into softness, into sameness, into safety. You are here to grow, to stretch, to refine yourself through tension, through trials, through choices that do not always feel good but always make you stronger. Because real fulfillment does not come from escaping difficulty, it comes from overcoming it. That is why the Stoic does not worship comfort. He does not see it as the prize. He sees it as the trap, the illusion, the thing that offers relief now and robs you later. The modern world tries to sell you comfort like it is the final goal. The soft share, the easy income, the stress-free routine. As if your peace can be bought. As if rest will fulfill you when you have not earned it. But you know deep down, that is not how it works. Peace without effort feels hollow. Rest without labor feels undeserved. That is why so many people with comfortable lives still feel anxious, still feel restless. Because they skip the part that actually changes them, the fire. Mastery is what your soul is hungry for. The ability to look at your life and know that you did not just drift, you directed. That you did not just adapt, you sculpted. That you did not just survive, you evolved. Mastery is not about perfection. It is about ownership. About being able to say, I built this. I bled for this. I stood in the discomfort long enough for it to shape me. Comfort never builds that. Comfort teaches you to tolerate. Mastery teaches you to transform. Comfort says, this is good enough. Mastery says, what more is possible? Comfort whispers, you deserve a break. Mastery reminds you, you have not earned it yet. And this is not cruelty. This is clarity. Because the Stoic knows it is not pain that destroys a man, it is the avoidance of pain that keeps him from growing. It is the belief that ease equals peace, when in fact it often equals erosion. Seneca wrote, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. But notice he did not say difficulties are pleasant. He said they are useful. That is the Stoic view. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your training. It is the arena where you learn who you are not, who you must become if you are serious about your future. And the man who chases comfort, he never finds mastery. He stays soft. He stays indecisive. He stays waiting for the world to become easier instead of building the strength to rise within it. But the man who seeks mastery does not wait for the weather. He walks through the storm, because he knows the storm is not in the way, it is the way. Let us make this practical. You are tired. The day was long. The bed is warm. The phone is calling. But there is one more thing, one more task, one more rep, one more line to write. Comfort says, it can wait. Mastery says, that is exactly why you must do it now. Because the moment you push past resistance is the moment you start to change. Or maybe you are misunderstood. Someone questions your path, your values, your discipline. Comfort says, explain. Defend. Be liked. Mastery says, stay still. Let your life speak louder than your lips, because the man who is becoming something does not owe constant explanation. His consistency is his clarity. This is what separates men who drift from men who direct. The drifter seeks ease. The director seeks edge. The drifter waits for motivation. The director builds discipline. The drifter fears failure. The director knows failure is a required ingredient for mastery. Marcus Aurelius did not have a comfortable life. He ruled an empire, faced war, disease, betrayal. And yet, his journal, his meditations reveal a man who was becoming through the hardship, not complaining about it, not avoiding it, meeting it, learning from it, growing because of it. What made him powerful was not his position. It was his mindset. His refusal to be softened by power. His refusal to be defined by the ease his position could have offered. He chose the harder road even from the throne. That is what makes him dangerous. Not how loud he is. Not how much he lifts. But how quietly, how consistently, he refuses to settle for comfort when mastery is still calling. Ask yourself, where am I settling for ease when effort is required? What skill, habit, or mindset have I stopped developing because it became uncomfortable? What will the version of me who lives with mastery choose today? Then act, not in grand gestures, but in quiet, powerful refusals. Refuse to quit early. Refuse to explain your standards. Refuse to let comfort be your reward. Because the reward is not the nap. It is the transformation. The reward is not being liked. It is being respected by the man in the mirror. The reward is not the day off. It is the identity you build by showing up when it is hard. Say it now, not as pressure but as permission to become more. Comfort is not the reward. Mastery is. Say it when the path feels steep. Say it when comfort whispers that you have done enough. Say it when no one is watching but you know what the right choice is. Then choose what is harder. Choose what sharpens. And let the reward be the man you are becoming in the process. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the test. And most people fail that test not because they are weak, but because they never learned how to see it clearly. From a young age, we are taught to avoid discomfort. If something feels hard, we pull back. If something makes us nervous, we delay it. If something hurts, we numb it. And slowly, without realizing it, we start to build a life around avoidance. Not ambition. Not mastery. Not truth. Just less friction. But the Stoic sees discomfort differently. He sees it as the curriculum of growth. as the invitation life gives you when it wants to upgrade your character. When life wants you to get sharper, stronger, wiser, it does not send comfort. It sends discomfort. And if you misread that discomfort, if you call it a sign to stop instead of a signal to lean in, you never get to the other side of it. You just get stuck. Inside your own story. Inside your own ceiling. Seneca once wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt. And we suffer more from imagination than from reality." That is the core of it. Discomfort is rarely as dangerous as we believe. The pain we fear is often less than the power we give it. The thing we avoid does not break us, it just breaks our illusion of ease. And once that illusion is gone, something stronger can take its place: readiness. The Stoic lives inside that readiness. He does not pray for a life without discomfort. He trains to meet it when it comes. He prepares not by avoiding pain, but by learning to interpret it. He asks, is this discomfort here to stop me or to stretch me? Because not all pain is a red flag. Some of it is just resistance leaving the body. Some of it is the old identity dying. Some of it is your threshold expanding. Think about it. The discomfort of waking up early. That is the test of discipline. The discomfort of being misunderstood. That is the test of emotional sovereignty. The discomfort of starting something new. That is the test of courage. Discomfort is the test that asks, will you rise now or wait until life forces you to? The Stoic does not wait. He leans in. Not recklessly. Not blindly. But willingly. Because he knows the discomfort you face now is cheaper than the regret of staying small. Let us make this practical. You are facing a difficult conversation. One that could change the tone of a relationship. You feel your chest tighten. Your throat close. Your mind race. That is the test. The easy way out is silence. Avoidance. Delay. But the Stoic breathes. He reminds himself, this is not danger, it is data. My body is telling me something matters here. And instead of running, he steps forward with honesty, with calm, with control. That is what changes things. Or maybe you are about to do something you have never done. Start the business. Launch the idea. End a chapter. Begin another. And everything inside you screams, this is too uncertain. This is too exposed. But that voice is not prophecy. It is the test. The voice that says, will you let fear write the future? And the Stoic answers with movement. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just one step. And then another. Because he knows discomfort is not the thing to escape, it is the gate to pass through. The truth is, most people live their entire lives running from discomfort and call it logic. They say things like, it does not feel right, or I will know when the time is right, or it is just not worth the stress. But that is not logic. That is fear wearing the mask of maturity. The Stoic unmasks it. He knows that stress, when chosen, becomes strength. That discomfort, when framed properly, becomes guidance. He stops asking, how do I get out of this? And starts asking, what is this trying to build in me? That is the pivot point. That is where life starts to change. Because now discomfort is not the thing you dodge. It is the compass you follow. It points you toward the truth. It reveals your weaknesses. It demands your attention. And it never wastes your time. You want more clarity? Step into discomfort. You want more strength? Step into discomfort. You want to know who you really are, not just when things go well, but when they do not. Step into discomfort. Because in those moments when your plans fall apart, when your nerves are exposed, when your doubts are loud, that is where the real you is revealed. And the real you, if you let him, is far stronger than the version of you that clings to comfort. So ask yourself, what have I been calling not the right time that is really just discomfort in disguise? What part of me have I been protecting, not because it needs safety, but because it fears growth. What decision have I delayed, not because I lack clarity, but because I dread what it will require? Then do something radical. Do the thing anyway. Make the call. Face the tension. Take the step. Not because it feels good, but because it feels necessary. That is how the Stoic moves. Not toward pleasure, not toward pain, but toward purpose. He does not flinch when discomfort knocks. He opens the door, because he knows discomfort is not the enemy, it is the test. And every time you pass it, you become more of who you are meant to be. Say it now not as a mantra, but as a mindset. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the test. Say it when your body says wait. Say it when your fear says no. Say it when your comfort zone screams for safety. Then move. One step. One action. One breath inside the fire. And on the other side, you will not just find progress, you will find yourself. Most people avoid discomfort. The Stoic uses it. And that simple difference changes everything. Because when discomfort shows up, and it always does, your response to it becomes your future. Most people flinch. They pull away. They try to numb it, delay it, hide from it. They see discomfort as a warning: stop. Danger. Turn back. But the Stoic, he sees it as an invitation. A call to rise. A sign that the next level is near. Because here is the truth: you cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. Growth requires resistance. It requires friction. You do not build strength without stress. You do not build clarity without uncertainty. You do not build character without challenge. And so the Stoic does not wait for a life without discomfort. He builds a life where discomfort becomes a tool, a teacher, a signal, a sharpening force. The average person asks, how can I avoid this feeling? The Stoic asks, how can I use it? You are anxious before a big decision. Good. That means it matters. Use it to sharpen your awareness. You are nervous before a speech. Good. That means you are stepping into visibility. Use it to prepare better. You feel tension in a relationship. Good. That means there is truth that wants to surface. Use it to grow, not to escape. Discomfort is the fire that reveals what is fragile. But it is also the fire that strengthens what is real. You see, most people are taught to chase comfort like it is the destination. The job with less pressure. The relationship with fewer arguments. A routine with no friction. But what they end up with is not peace, it is numbness. They stop feeling challenged. And then slowly, they stop feeling alive. That is the cost of avoiding discomfort. But the Stoic pays a different price. He pays in sweat, in effort, in vulnerability. Not because he loves pain, but because he loves who he becomes on the other side of it. Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. He did not say avoid them. He said use them. Because how else would you know if your discipline is real until it is tested? How else would you know if your patience is strong until someone pushes it? How else would you know if your purpose is clear until fear tries to cloud it? This is why the Stoic does not complain when things get hard. He studies the hard. He extracts value from it. He asks questions like, what is this teaching me? What part of me is being revealed right now? How can I meet this discomfort in a way that builds me? Let us make this practical. You want to build confidence. But confidence is not built in quiet rooms. It is built in uncomfortable moments. When you speak up even though your voice shakes. When you show up even though you feel small. When you hold the line even though it would be easier to retreat. That discomfort. That is the weight you lift to become stronger. Or you want deeper self minus respect. But respect is not earned through ease. It is earned through discipline. Through saying no to what is easy. through following through on what you said, especially when it is inconvenient. That discomfort of choosing what is right over what is pleasant. That is the brick in the foundation of self-trust. The Stoic understands this cycle. That every time you step into discomfort with awareness, with intention, you level up. You grow. You sharpen. You stop fearing the feeling and start using it like fuel. And the opposite is also true. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce weakness. You train your mind to back down. You teach your body that relief is more important than resilience. And over time, that lesson becomes your identity. That is why the Stoic is relentless with small disciplines. He chooses cold water, not for the thrill, but for the reminder. He chooses the honest answer, even when it stings. He chooses to face the difficult truth in himself, rather than build a life around denial. And that is what separates him. Not talent. Not luck. Not motivation. But the habit of leaning into discomfort while others run from it. So ask yourself, where in your life are you negotiating with discomfort? Where have you made pain the enemy, instead of the instructor? Where are you waiting for courage when courage only comes after you move? Then change the script. Stop saying, "This is hard," like it is a reason to stop. Start saying, "This is hard and that means it is working." Stop saying, "I am afraid," like it is a sign to delay. Start saying, "I am afraid, so this is exactly where I need to go." The Stoic lives by this code. Discomfort is the currency of transformation. And I am willing to pay. Say it now, not to sound brave, but to remind yourself of who you are becoming. Most people avoid discomfort. The Stoic uses it. Say it when your hands sweat before you speak. Say it when your legs shake before you act. Say it when your mind screams for comfort and your soul calls for more. Then choose the discomfort. Step into it with eyes open. And let it do what it came to do, not to break you, but to build you. You cannot control what life brings, but you can control how ready you are to meet it. And that one realization shifts your entire focus. It moves you away from wishing, from hoping, from bargaining with the universe to go easy on you, and it moves you toward preparation, toward training, toward building the kind of inner architecture that does not depend on circumstances to feel stable. Because the truth is, life does not care if you are ready. It does not wait until you feel strong. It does not send a calendar invite before it tests you. Life shows up unannounced, with challenge, with change, with loss, with opportunity. And the Stoic knows this. So he does not waste time trying to control the tide. He prepares his ship. Every day. Quietly. Consistently. Relentlessly. Most people spend their lives trying to control the next event. They forecast. They worry. They rehearse conversations that might never happen. They build elaborate plans not to act, but to avoid being surprised. But the Stoic knows the surprise is not the problem. The unpreparedness is. Because what breaks you is rarely the size of the problem, it is the weakness in the foundation you built before it arrived. Seneca wrote, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." That is not about paranoia. That is about power. About choosing to face difficulty on your terms before it chooses to face you on its own. Preparation is the Stoic's defense. Discipline is his armor. Stillness is his weapon. And chosen discomfort is his training ground. So he does not pray for a calm life. He prays for a strong spine. He does not ask for fewer problems. He builds better responses. He does not say, "Please, let everything go as planned." He says, "Let me become the kind of man who can handle it when it doesn't." Let us make this practical. You cannot control the market crashing. But you can control your ability to stay calm under pressure. You cannot control someone walking away. But you can control your ability to stay grounded, to process loss without losing yourself. You cannot control the storm. But You can control whether you have built the discipline to stay steady when the lights go out. That is the essence of Stoicism, not the illusion of control, but the cultivation of readiness. And readiness is not a mood. It is a daily decision. It is waking up when you said you would, not because it is easy, but because it trains your body to obey clarity over comfort. It is confronting the difficult task, not when you feel inspired, but because inspiration is unreliable and you are not. It is looking at yourself in silence, even when the reflection is hard to face, because self minus deception is far more painful over time. The Stoic does not wait to be tested to build his strength. He tests himself in the quiet. And that is why, when life does test him, he is not shaken. Not because he is numb, but because he is ready. Because he trained for it. He saw it coming. He rehearsed the storm inside his mind long before the clouds gathered. And that is the paradox. The more you prepare for discomfort, the less power discomfort has over you. The more you simulate chaos, the calmer you become when it actually arrives. This is not pessimism. This is strategy. This is power reclaimed from circumstance. Ask yourself, where am I still hoping life gets easier instead of getting stronger? What daily disciplines am I avoiding that would prepare me for the moment I fear most? What weakness in me would be exposed if life hit me hard tomorrow? Then train. Build the mental muscle now, not when the crisis begins. Build the emotional maturity now, not when someone tests your patience. Build the spiritual stillness now, not when everything around you falls apart. This is the code the Stoic lives by. Do not wish for lighter burdens. Train for a stronger back. Do not pray for life to get easier. Build yourself until it no longer matters if it does. And in doing that day by day, you stop fearing life's randomness. Because you know you are not built to control it. You are built to meet it. Fully. Boldly. Without flinching. So say it now, not as an idea, but as a command. You cannot control what life brings, but you can control how ready you are to meet it. Say it when fear whispers, what if it all goes wrong? Say it when your plan falls apart and you have to start again. Say it when you feel like life is not fair, and remember, fairness is not your concern. Readiness is. Then breathe. Stand. Train. And become the kind of man who can meet anything life throws at him, not because it is easy, but because he is ready. Growth begins where comfort ends. Not before. Not during. Only after you've stepped outside what feels familiar, predictable, and easy does the real change begin. Because comfort, while soothing, is also limiting. It is a ceiling disguised as safety. A boundary dressed up as rest. And the longer you stay within its walls, the more you forget that you built them. The Stoic does not deny the need for recovery. He knows that the body needs rest, that the mind needs stillness. But he also knows the danger lies not in pausing but in staying. In becoming so attached to ease that discomfort starts to feel like a threat instead of a gateway. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That is not just poetic. That is precise. He is saying, go there. Wherever the resistance is, that is your path. Wherever your excuses live, that is where growth is hiding. But most people turn away. The moment they feel tension, they say, "This must not be for me." The moment the workout burns, they stop. The moment the conversation gets awkward, they change the subject. The moment the work feels uncertain, they delay. And they call it wisdom. Or self-care. Or intuition. But the Stoic knows better. He knows that growth is not wrapped in inspiration. It is wrapped in friction. And if you are always seeking to feel good, you will never get strong. Because the truth is, growth is uncomfortable. It has to be. You are expanding. You are stretching. You are moving beyond what your old identity could tolerate. That will feel like fear. like doubt, like chaos. And that is not a sign to retreat, it is a sign to keep going. Think of your life like a forge. You are the metal. And every time you choose discomfort deliberately, consistently, you step into the fire. And the fire is not there to destroy you. It is there to shape you. But you have to stay in it long enough for the change to take hold. That means doing the reps when no one is watching. That means facing the silence you usually distract yourself from. That means having the difficult conversation not when it is convenient, but when it is necessary. That is where growth begins. Not at the surface, but in the moments where you feel like turning away and you do not. Let us make this practical. You want to grow in confidence. That does not happen from reading quotes. It happens when you act in spite of doubt. When you say the truth you fear will be rejected. When you show up even when you are not sure how you will be received. That's where confidence is built, not in ease, but in exposure. Or maybe you want more discipline. That does not come from waiting for motivation. It comes from showing up tired. From choosing routine over mood. From reminding yourself this is who I said I would become, and then proving it when it is hard. That discomfort you feel. That is the border between who you are and who you could be. Most people live just before that border. They get close, then stop. They flirt with growth but do not commit. Because the moment it gets real, the moment it demands more than comfort, they retreat. But the Stoic steps forward. He does not need fireworks. He does not wait for the perfect moment. He moves into the discomfort and lets it teach him what comfort never could. Because here is what comfort never teaches you. It never teaches you how to keep going when no one claps. It never teaches you how to stay calm when everything falls apart. It never teaches you how to find peace when life does not cooperate. Only discomfort does that. Discomfort teaches you how to bend but not break. How to act even when afraid. How to stay grounded even when life is loud. And that is why the Stoic lives on the edge of his comfort. Not recklessly. Not masochistic ally. But deliberately. He knows comfort makes you soft. But friction makes you sharp. So ask yourself, where have I been stopping just short of the discomfort? What decision have I postponed not because it is unclear, but because it is uncomfortable? What version of myself could exist if I were willing to live outside the lines? Then do the work. Wake up when you said you would. Train even when no one is tracking. Say what is true even when it shakes your voice. Because that is where growth lives, in the fire. Not in the theory. Not in the dream. But in the actual flame of discomfort. Say it now not as an affirmation, but as a commitment. Growth begins where comfort ends. Say it when you want to skip the hard part. Say it when everything in you wants to go back to what is easy. Say it when your mind tells you to wait and your soul tells you to rise. Then move. Into the tension. Into the uncertainty. Into the version of you that only discomfort can reveal. You do not grow by avoiding pain. You grow by understanding it. Pain, when misunderstood, becomes a prison. You run from it. You numb it. You build your entire life around not feeling it. And in doing so, you never get close enough to see what it is actually trying to teach you. But the Stoic does not run. He does not pretend pain does not exist. He walks straight into it, not to suffer but to study. Because pain is not always punishment. Sometimes it is information. It is feedback. It is the body, the mind, or the spirit saying, something here matters, something here needs attention, something here if faced with courage could change you. You see, most people treat pain like an enemy. They avoid anything that could trigger it. They build comfort around it like walls around a wound. But what they do not realize is by avoiding pain, they avoid transformation. Seneca once said, pain is slight if opinion has added nothing to it. That means it is not just the pain, it is what you tell yourself about the pain. It is the story you attach to it. This should not be happening. This means I am failing. This proves I am not enough. But what if pain did not mean any of that? What if it just meant you are being shown where to grow? The Stoic sees pain as a spotlight. It shows him where he is still reactive, where he is still ruled by fear, where he is still clinging to illusions. And instead of turning away, he leans in, not to drown in it but to study it like a teacher. Think of physical pain. You go to the gym. You lift beyond your comfort. The burn you feel, that is not injury. That is adaptation. That is the body breaking just enough to rebuild stronger. But imagine if you avoided that burn every time. You would never grow. You would stay soft, no matter how many times you showed up. It is the same with emotional pain. The heartbreak, the rejection, the silence, the betrayal. Each one feels sharp. But each one is also a mirror. Eye-revealing. A moment where life says, now you know where the wound is. Now you know what needs healing. And healing does not begin with escape. It begins with understanding. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. You cannot grow through what you have not learned from. You cannot become stronger by pretending nothing hurts. So the Stoic feels fully. But he does not drown. He does not exaggerate. He observes. He reflects. He asks, what is this pain here to teach me? And sometimes the lesson is simple: you cared. You tried. You lost. Now get back up smarter, clearer, stronger. Other times the lesson is deeper: you have attached your worth to outcomes. You have confused control with security. You have built your identity around things that can be taken. And now the pain is not here to break you, it is here to wake you. Because real pain is not the enemy. The enemy is the story that says pain should not exist. That life should always be smooth. That if something hurts, it must be avoided. But the Stoic knows better. He knows pain is part of life, not a flaw in it. And that means if used properly, pain can become fuel. Not just for survival, but for evolution. Let us make this practical. You are criticized. It stings. Your instinct is to defend, to explain, to correct. But the Stoic pauses. He feels the sting, but he asks, is there truth in this? Am I reacting from ego or responding from clarity? And maybe, just maybe, he finds something useful in the hurt. And that something becomes a doorway to growth. Or you fail. Publicly. The plan fell apart. The result disappointed. And you want to run from it. But the Stoic stays. He sits with the failure. Not to shame himself, but to study it. To say, where did my assumptions blind me? What pattern did I ignore? What can I build better next time? That is growth. That is courage. That is what separates men who repeat pain from men who rise through it. You see, pain that is avoided becomes pain that repeats. But pain that is understood becomes wisdom. And wisdom, once earned, becomes strength. So ask yourself, what pain am I still running from? What pain have I numbed instead of naming? What pain, if I truly understood it, could become my turning point? Then face it. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But clearly. Quietly. With the steadiness of a man who no longer wants to be ruled by avoidance. Breathe into the pain. Write about it. Talk about it with someone who listens. Sit with it not as a victim, but as a student. And ask, what is this trying to show me about me? Because pain, when respected, becomes your greatest clarity. Not just about what hurts, but about what matters. Say it now, not with fear, but with responsibility. You do not grow by avoiding pain. You grow by understanding it. Say it when the old wound flares up. Say it when the new fear creeps in. Say it when comfort tempts you to turn away. Then face it. Feel it. Learn from it. And become the kind of man who does not run from pain but rises through it. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It is a cage. It does not have bars. It does not lock with a key. It does not scream when you try to leave. But it is there. Quiet. Subtle. Always whispering, stay here, where it is familiar. Stay here, where you know how everything works. Stay here where nothing threatens your ego, your energy, your image. And the more you listen, the smaller your life becomes. You convince yourself it is safety. But it is just self minus preservation disguised as wisdom. You say, I am just being realistic, but really, you are just being rehearsed. Practiced at staying the same. Practiced at calling your fear logic. Practiced at calling your limits personality. The Stoic does not fall for that. He knows that comfort zones are illusions. They promise protection, but what they deliver is stagnation. You do not stay safe inside them, you stay stuck. And the longer you stay there, the harder it is to see who you were ever meant to become. Because that man, one who is focused, grounded, relentless, that man does not live inside the comfort zone. He lives at the edge of it. He lives in the territory where things feel uncertain, where failure is possible, where friction is frequent, and where every choice either stretches him or shrinks him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live, and living does not begin inside comfort. It begins the moment you decide you are no longer available for a small life." But make no mistake, comfort zones are not broken with one dramatic leap. They are dissolved piece by piece through daily discomfort, through small decisions that compound, through the willingness to stop explaining your limits and start expanding them. You want confidence? Get uncomfortable. You want freedom? Get uncomfortable. You want to build a life that reflects your potential, not just your past? Get uncomfortable. Because nothing worth becoming lives inside the predictable. Let us make this practical. You feel stuck in your job. You know you are not growing. But the paycheck is stable. The routine is familiar. You tell yourself, I cannot afford to take the risk. But the Stoic would say, you cannot afford to keep shrinking. You do not have to quit tomorrow. But you do have to move. Learn something new. Build something small. Stretch a skill. Not for results, but to prove to yourself that you are still capable of becoming. Or you want deeper relationships. But every time a conversation gets real, you pull back. Every time you could open up, you say something safe. Every time you could ask for what you really want, you settle. That is your comfort zone. And it is not protecting your heart, it is keeping it caged. The Stoic knows vulnerability is a kind of discomfort. But it is also a kind of power. And until you are willing to risk being seen, you will never feel truly connected. Here is the truth: every comfort zone eventually becomes a kind of prison. It keeps you where you no longer belong. It hides what you are capable of. And it teaches you to stop trying, because trying might lead to failure. But the Stoic sees failure differently. He sees it as data, as movement, as evidence that you are alive and still pushing against the walls of what you used to be. And that is the kind of life that expands, not contracts. So ask yourself, where have I mistaken comfort for peace? Where am I still calling my fear preference? Where in my life am I performing instead of growing? Then break the cage. Not all at once, but today. Say what you have been holding back. Do what you have been delaying. Face what you have been pretending does not matter. Not to impress anyone. Not to create results overnight. But to send a message to your nervous system. I am no longer available for this cage. I am building the muscle to step outside. And yes, it will feel strange. You will feel resistance. You will hear the old thoughts, this is not you. You are not ready. You are being reckless. But those are not truth. They are echoes of your old self trying to keep you inside. Ignore them. Breathe through them. Move anyway. Because freedom is not found outside the cage. It is found in the decision to stop pretending it is keeping you safe. Say it now not as rebellion, but as responsibility. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It is your cage. Say it when the excuses rise. Say it when the fears speak. Say it when the temptation to wait grows stronger than the courage to begin. Then move. Just one step. Every day. And watch what happens when the walls around your life finally start to crack. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Ease is a sedative. Effort is a signal. And if you are not careful, you will confuse the two. You will start believing that when things feel easy, they are right. That comfort equals alignment. That the absence of resistance means the presence of truth. But that is not always the case. Sometimes ease is not peace, it is just numbing. Sometimes ease is not flow, it is stagnation in disguise. Ease sedates your ambition. It dulls your edge. It whispers, this is good enough. Not because it is, but because your standards have quietly lowered. Ease, when consumed in excess, makes you forget how to move through discomfort. It makes you fragile, predictable, slow. But real effort is the opposite. It is the signal, the pulse of life reminding you that you are growing, that you are engaging something real, that you are moving, not just coasting. And effort rarely feels easy. It is often misunderstood, misjudged, even avoided. But to the Stoic, it is a compass. A quiet confirmation that you are not asleep at the wheel. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action, meaning the very thing that feels heavy, that feels hard, is often the thing that moves you forward. Not because of the difficulty, but because of the version of you that shows up inside that difficulty. And yet most people avoid effort. They do not say it out loud. But you can see it in their choices. They scroll instead of sit in stillness. They postpone the hard conversation. They choose the easier workout, the softer boundary, the more familiar discomfort. And they call it balance. They call it intuition. But sometimes it is just avoidance with a new name. The Stoic lives differently. He does not chase exhaustion. But he also does not fear effort. Because he understands there is no version of his future that does not require work. Not just external work. Internal work. The discipline to act even when no one applauds. The courage to face himself even when it is messy. The consistency to show up even when it would be easier not to. Effort to him is not punishment. It is proof that he still cares, that he is still in motion, that he still believes something better is possible. Let us make this practical. You sit down to work. The resistance hits immediately. Distraction tempts you. Your mind says, maybe later, but the Stoic hears that voice and smiles. That is the signal. That is effort knocking. And instead of walking away, he leans in. He writes the first sentence. He lifts the first rep. He speaks the first honest word. Because he knows ease feels good now, but effort builds who you become. Or you are in a routine. It is smooth. You are hitting your marks. But something in you feels numb. Not because anything is wrong, but because nothing is challenging you. That is a warning. That is the moment to add resistance. To take the next step. To shake the complacency. Because ease, left unchecked, becomes entropy. You see, effort brings awareness. It sharpens your senses. It reveals your edge. And the Stoic uses that edge not to impress, but to evolve. He does not fear the burn in the muscle. He knows it means something is being rebuilt. He does not fear the discomfort in silence. He knows it means something real might surface. He does not fear the tremble before truth. He knows it means the moment matters. Effort is the pulse of becoming. Ease is the lullaby that keeps you dreaming but never waking. And this does not mean your life must be hard all the time. It means you must know the difference between rest and retreat, between peace and paralysis, between flow and floating. Ask yourself, where have I confused ease with alignment? Where am I choosing effort only when it is convenient? What part of my life feels too comfortable to be honest? Then get honest. Add friction to your routine, not for punishment, but for presence. Add truth to your conversations, not for control, but for connection. Add challenge to your growth, not for validation, but for vision. Because ease will never make you proud, but effort will. Say it now, not as motivation, but as meditation. Ease is a sedative. Effort is a signal. Say it when your body wants to stop. Say it when your mind begs for comfort. Say it when the world says you have done enough. Then breathe. Lean in. And follow the signal, not because it is easy, but because you are ready. No one becomes resilient by accident. Resilience is not luck. It is not a personality trait you are born with. It is not something that just shows up when life gets hard. Resilience is earned. It is built. It is forged slowly, deliberately, repeatedly in moments when it would have been easier to quit. But you did not. In moments when comfort called, but you answered the call of something deeper. And that is what the Stoic understands. No man becomes unshakable by chance. We admire those who remain calm in chaos. We respect those who carry peace in the middle of conflict. But what we often forget is what came before that calm. The hours. The repetition. The small, invisible choices that train their nervous system to hold the line. Because the ability to stay composed under pressure is not magic, it is memory. Muscle memory of 1,000 unseen acts of discipline. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." That is not metaphor, it is a manual. Just as your muscles grow through tension, your mind grows through pressure. Just as your body gets stronger by lifting something heavy, your soul gets deeper by carrying something real. But it does not happen passively. You must choose it. You must train it. You must step into the stress not to be overwhelmed by it, but to learn how to breathe through it. You must face uncertainty not to solve it, but to stop letting it control you. You must meet discomfort not to conquer it, but to grow familiar with it so it no longer intimidates you. Most people want resilience without resistance. They want to feel powerful without having to confront powerlessness. They want to be grounded without ever choosing to stand in the storm. But it does not work that way. You do not become solid until something tries to shake you. And even then it is not that you do not move. It is that you return faster. You recover deeper. You rebuild stronger. Let us make this practical. You lose something. A relationship. A position. A plan. And the first instinct is collapse. Reaction. Blame. Panic. But the Stoic pauses. He lets the wave hit. He lets the pain come. But he does not drown. He breathes. He listens. He observes what the pain is pointing to. And slowly he begins again. Because resilience is not about avoiding the fall, it is about how quickly and completely you arise from it. Or you are stretched too thin. Life demands more than you feel ready to give. You want to shut down. Go numb. Escape into distraction. But the Stoic centers himself. He simplifies. He gets present. He focuses not on the storm but on the next right action. Because resilience is not always about force. Sometimes it is about grace. About knowing that strength is not loud. It is steady. This is why the Stoic trains when he does not have to. Why he chooses discomfort before life delivers it. Why he builds boundaries, routines, systems, because those are the tools that carry him when emotion cannot. He is not trying to be robotic. He is trying to be ready. Ready for the moment when the world shakes and he has to remain intact, not just for himself, but for those who depend on him. Because resilience is not just for survival. It is for service, for leadership, for legacy. And you do not build it in one decision. You build it in thousands. Waking up when you said you would. Telling the truth when a lie would be easier. Holding silence when reaction would feel good. Finishing what you started even when no one is watching. These are the bricks. And brick by brick you build the fortress. Inside. Quietly. Until the day comes when life tries to shake it and fails. Ask yourself, what have I mistaken for weakness that is really just lack of training? Where in my life do I collapse before I have truly tested my strength? What small act of consistency am I ignoring that could build my foundation over time? Then build it. Every day. In private. When it is inconvenient. When it is unglamorous. Say it now, not for motivation but for memory. No one becomes resilient by accident. Say it when life punches first. Say it when your routine is tested. Say it when you feel fragile and you wonder, am I really built for this? Then return. To the breath. To the moment. To the small discipline that reminds you strength is not found. It is formed. You are not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to move anyway. That might be the most freeing truth you have never been told. Because for most of your life, you have been conditioned to believe that readiness comes first. That before the action, before the commitment, before the leap there will be a wave of certainty. I calm. A sign that now finally it is time. But the Stoic knows that moment rarely comes. And waiting for it only delays the life you are meant to live. You see, feeling ready is not a requirement. It is a result. It comes after the decision, after the motion, after the discomfort. It comes after you do the hard thing, not before. Because confidence is not something you find. It is something you build through action. And action, if it matters, almost always begins with fear. With doubt. With resistance. With every voice in your head screaming, you are not ready. This is too soon. You could fail. You could be judged, and maybe all of that is true. But none of it is final. Because the only thing that actually defines your next chapter is whether or not you move. The Stoic does not wait for emotional alignment. He does not wait to feel safe. He does not wait until every detail is clear. He moves because he trusts who he is becoming more than he trusts the discomfort he feels in the moment. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." That is the inversion. Action dissolves fear, not the other way around. And the longer you delay, the larger the fear grows. Because fear feeds on hesitation. It multiplies in silence. It thrives in comfort zones. But courage, real courage, is quiet. It moves in spite of fear, not in the absence of it. And every time you move through that fear, you reinforce a deeper truth: I do not need to feel ready to begin. Let us make this practical. You want to change careers. You do not feel ready. There is no perfect timing. There is no guarantee. But the discomfort of staying where you are has now outweighed the fear of moving. That is the moment. Not when you feel certain, but when you feel the internal pull to evolve. The Stoic listens to that. He takes the first step. A small one. But a real one. Because readiness does not knock. You knock and readiness answers later. Or you want to have the conversation. The truth minus telling one. The one where you put your heart on the table or finally say what needs to be said. You wait for the nerves to settle, for the perfect opening. But it never comes. Because honesty is never convenient. The Stoic does not wait for comfort. He speaks with clarity, not drama. And his courage unlocks something deeper than relief, self-minus respect. This is the law of motion the Stoic lives by. Do the thing. Then the clarity comes. Take the step. Then the confidence grows. Say the truth. Then the freedom follows. Because waiting to feel ready is often just fear wearing a mask of wisdom. The Stoic is not reckless. He does not act blindly. But he knows that over-minus planning can become overthinking. That excessive caution can become chronic hesitation. That perfectionism is often procrastination in disguise. And so he asks a different question, not am I ready? But is this the direction my highest self is calling me toward? And if the answer is yes, he moves. Nervously. Imperfectly. But intentionally. And in that movement, the man is made. Ask yourself, what have I been waiting to feel ready for? What decision have I postponed not because I am unclear, but because I am afraid? What if readiness is not something I wait for, but something I create? Then act. Send the message. Make the plan. Have the talk. Take the first uncomfortable step not for the world, but for yourself. Because every step you take without feeling ready sends a signal I trust myself more than I trust my fear. Say it now not to sound brave, but to remember. You are not supposed to feel ready. You are supposed to move anyway. Say it when your stomach knots. Say it when your inner critic shouts. Say it when comfort tempts you to stay put one more day. Then move. And let your movement become your message. I am not waiting for the perfect time. I am becoming the kind of man who creates it. The man you want to become is waiting on the other side of discomfort. Not on the other side of success. Not on the other side of applause. But on the other side of the pain you keep postponing, the truth you keep avoiding, the edge you keep dancing around but never crossing. That man more grounded, more focused, more unshakable is not waiting for a better world. He is waiting for a braver version of you to show up. The Stoic knows this. That every moment of avoidance is not just a delay, it is a denial of your becoming. That comfort does not just stall you, it seduces you into thinking there is no urgency, no deeper call, no war to be fought within. But there is. There always is. And it begins with this: stop seeking what feels easy. Start moving toward what feels honest. Discomfort is the threshold. Every time. Because the things that truly matter, growth, freedom, peace, purpose, they do not live inside your routine. They live just beyond it. And the price to access them is not more motivation. It is courage. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind that wakes you early. That holds you accountable. That whispers, do not flinch this time. Marcus Aurelius wrote just that you do the right thing. The rest does not matter. The Stoic understands this: action over outcome. Character over comfort. Truth over timing. And discomfort is where all of it gets tested. You want clarity? Step into the tension you usually avoid. You want peace? Face the storm you keep outsourcing to someone else. You want self-respect? Do the thing no one sees, but you know matters. Because the man you are meant to be is not waiting for life to calm down. He is waiting for you to stand up. And that man, he does not look like someone else. He is not built by copying. He is built by chiseling. By cutting away the excuses, the stories, the habits that have kept you in the same emotional loop for years. You know what they are. You feel them every time you wake up and promise yourself you will change and then postpone it one more day. Every time you get close to truth and then talk yourself into silence. Every time discomfort knocks and you pretend not to hear it. But that discomfort, that is the map. That is the marker. That is the exact point where the man you want to be is asking, will you meet me here? Or will you wait again? Let us make this practical. You say you want to be more disciplined. Then stop negotiating with your word. Choose one thing today, wake time, work out, a simple boundary and do it, no matter how you feel. That is discomfort. And that is how it begins. You say you want to be more honest. Then say what needs to be said. Kindly, firmly, clearly. Not with ego but with integrity. That is discomfort. And that is the doorway to self-respect. You say you want to be unshakable. Then go where you would usually hide. Sit in the silence. Delay the reaction. Face the pattern. That is discomfort. And that is where the upgrade begins. The Stoic builds his life on this principle: comfort will lie to you. Discomfort will introduce you to the truth. And the truth is this: the man you admire is not better than you. He just learned to live where most people retreat. The strength you crave is not found, it is trained. The peace you want is not bought, it is earned in the places that scare you. So ask yourself, what version of me exists beyond this fear? What character traits would emerge if I stayed with this tension one breath longer? What would my life look like if I stopped avoiding the discomfort and started moving straight into it? Then go. Not to win. To become. Because the discomfort you keep postponing is not a problem, it is a path. Not a signal to stop, but a threshold to cross. Not something to survive, but something to use. Say it now, not as closure, but as ignition. The man I want to become is waiting on the other side of discomfort. Say it when your body tightens. Say it when your mind panics. Say it when your heart tells you, this matters. Then act. Not tomorrow. Now. Not someday. Today. Not perfectly, but fully. And step across. Into the unknown. Into the fire. Into the version of you who is not controlled by ease, but shaped by purpose. Because that is where he is waiting. Not in theory. Not in comfort. But just beyond the moment where most men stop. You do not stop. You rise. You meet him. And you do not turn back. If this message stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Write one thing down that you'll start doing this week. 2025 doesn't magically change anything you do. And your future begins the moment you decide to move, even just a little.